most powerful motivational speeches that I have ever heard. Let me tell you something. Life isn't fair. It's not supposed to be. Life will knock you down, break you, test you, and push you further than you ever thought you could go. But listen closely. Those moments, the ones where you feel like giving up, where you're on the edge, where the weight is crushing you, those moments are where champions are made. Most people quit when it gets hard. They back down when the pain kicks in. They stop chasing their dreams when they don't see results fast enough. And that's why most people never succeed. Not because they aren't capable, not because they aren't talented, but because they don't have the one thing that separates the great from the average: perseverance. You see, perseverance is what turns dreams into reality. It's what transforms struggle into strength. Every single person you admire, every billionaire, every champion, every game changer you've ever heard of, they didn't get there because it was easy. They got there because they refused to stop. When the doors were slammed in their faces, they kicked them open. When the world told them no, they turned it into a watch me. So let me ask you, what are you fighting for? What dream keeps you up at night? What goal makes your heart race? Because I promise you this, if you really want it, if you're willing to push through the pain, if you're willing to fall and get back up over and over again, there is nothing that can stop you. But here's the hard truth. You're going to fail. You're going to feel broken. There will be days when doubt creeps in, when your mind tells you it's not worth it, when people laugh at you and tell you to give up. And that's when you have a choice. You can either let the pain break you, or you can use it to fuel you. Because pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. The most powerful thing you own is your mind. Your brain will try to convince you that you're too tired, too weak, too unworthy. But your mind is a liar. It will tell you to stop long before your body actually needs to. You have to take control. You have to train your mind to see struggle as growth, to see obstacles as opportunities, to see failure as just another step towards success. Because once you master your mind, you become unstoppable. Every single success story is built on failure. The most successful people in history failed more times than most people even try. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. The only reason you know their names today is because they didn't stop when the world doubted them. They kept going. They turned their pain into power. And that's what separates the winners from the quitters. Winners don't stop when they're tired. They stop when they're done. They don't wait for the perfect time, the perfect conditions, or the perfect opportunity. They create it. Right now, someone out there is working harder than you. Someone out there is pushing past their limits, grinding when no one is watching, refusing to make excuses. The question is, are you willing to outwork everyone else? Are you willing to sacrifice, to suffer, to embrace the struggle in order to achieve greatness? Because if you are, there is nothing, not failure, not pain, not rejection, not even time itself, that can keep you from success. The world doesn't belong to the lucky. It doesn't belong to the talented. It belongs to the relentless. The ones who refuse to give up no matter what. The ones who get up every single time they fall. The ones who keep fighting even when the odds are stacked against them. So decide right now, are you going to be one of them? Or are you going to let life beat you? Because the truth is, you were made for more. You were built to win. But it's up to you to prove it. There comes a moment in everyone's life where they hit a wall. A moment where the pain feels unbearable. Where the weight of failure is crushing. Where every fiber of their being screams at them to quit. And in that moment, there's a choice. A decision that will determine whether they rise or fall. Whether they push forward or surrender, whether they become everything they were meant to be or let life defeat them. Most people quit. Most people feel the pain and run in the other direction. They convince themselves it's not worth it, that maybe they weren't meant for greatness after all. They tell themselves the journey is too hard, the struggle too exhausting, the setbacks too overwhelming. And so they stop. They throw in the towel and they walk away, not realizing that in that exact moment when everything felt impossible, they were inches away from a breakthrough. The truth is, pain is temporary. It feels eternal in the moment, like it will never end, like it's swallowing you whole. But pain doesn't last. It fades. It heals. It transforms. What does last is the regret of quitting. The knowledge that you had more to give, that you were stronger than you believed, that if you had just held on a little longer, you would have seen the light on the other side. Think about the greatest athletes in the world. The ones who push their bodies beyond human limits, who train while others sleep, who suffer through pain most people can't even imagine. Do you think they don't feel it? Do you think they don't hurt? That they don't want to quit when exhaustion kicks in, when their muscles scream, when their lungs burn? Of course they do. But they push through it because they know one thing: pain is the price of greatness. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players to ever live, was cut from his high school basketball team. Can you imagine that? A young kid standing there as his coach told him he wasn't good enough. The easy thing to do would have been to quit, to let that pain define him. But instead, he used it. He took that pain, that embarrassment, that disappointment, and he turned it into fuel. He trained harder. He worked longer. He refused to quit. And because of that, the world remembers his name. Now, imagine if he had given up. Imagine if in that moment he had said, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not good enough. Imagine if he had walked away from the game. The championships, the records, the legacy, none of it would exist because quitting would have erased it all. And that's exactly what happens when you give up. You don't just stop working toward your goal. You erase your future success before it even has the chance to happen. Every time you push through pain, you get stronger. Every time you fight through doubt, you build resilience. Every time you refuse to quit, you set yourself up for victory. Pain is a test. It's life's way of asking, how bad do you really want this? Because if you can push through when everything in you is screaming to stop, you become the ones who achieve greatness aren't the ones who never struggled. They're the ones who face struggle head on and refuse to let it break them. There was a man who went through failure after failure, heartbreak after heartbreak, rejection after rejection. He lost his job, his business failed, he ran for public office and lost multiple times. He suffered the loss of the woman he loved. He was knocked down over and over again, and yet he never quit. He kept going, even when the pain felt unbearable. That man was Abraham Lincoln, and because he refused to give up, he became one of the greatest leaders the world has ever known. Now, ask yourself, how many people do you know who have quit? How many dreams have died because someone decided the pain was too much? How many people walk around every day filled with regret, knowing they had a chance, but they let it slip away? The world is full of people who gave up too soon, who stopped when they were tired instead of stopping when they were done. But that doesn't have to be you. The pain you feel today is shaping you into the person you need to become. It's strengthening you. It's teaching you lessons that no success ever could. Because success is easy, it's comfortable, it feels good, but it doesn't shape you. Pain does. Struggle does. The hard days, the lonely nights, the moments when you feel like you're at rock bottom, those are the moments that build champions. So when you feel like quitting, remember this. You're not just giving up on a goal. You're giving up on the version of yourself you were meant to become. The strongest, smartest, most resilient version of you is waiting on the other side of the struggle. But you'll never meet that version of yourself if you stop now. Nothing great ever came from comfort. No one ever changed the world by choosing the easy path. The most successful people in history had every reason to quit, every excuse to walk away, but they didn't. They felt the pain, they acknowledged it, and then they kept moving forward because they knew what most people never understand. Pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. There's something most people don't realize, the difference between success and failure, between greatness and mediocrity, between a life of abundance and a life of regret. It all starts in the mind. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your greatest enemy. It's either pushing you forward or holding you back. And the truth is, most people don't even recognize how much control they have over it. They let their fears, doubts, and insecurities dictate their lives without ever questioning if those thoughts are even real. The mind is powerful. It can turn a weak person into a warrior or a warrior into a coward. It can make a simple challenge feel impossible, or it can make an impossible task feel like just another step toward victory. The key is learning how to control it, how to rewire it to work for you instead of against you. Because the world isn't going to make things easy for you. Life will throw obstacles in your path. People will doubt you. You will fail. You will struggle, and you will suffer. But if you train your mind to embrace those obstacles instead of fearing them, nothing can stop you. Imagine two people facing the same challenge. One looks at it and immediately starts thinking about everything that could go wrong. What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if I'm not good enough? The other person looks at the exact same challenge and thinks, this is my chance. This is how I get stronger. This is where I grow. Now, who do you think's going to win? It's not about who's more talented. It's not about who has more resources or better connections. It's about who controls their mind. There was a young man who wanted to be a champion fighter. He wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the strongest, but he had one thing that set him apart: his mindset. Every day, he trained like his life depended on it. He would push himself to the edge of exhaustion, and when his body begged him to stop, his mind refused. He didn't see pain as a sign to quit. He saw it as proof that he was getting stronger. He didn't see failure as defeat. He saw it as a lesson. While others ran from challenges, he ran toward them. And because of that, he became unstoppable. Now, what made him different? It wasn't superhuman strength. It wasn't luck. It was his mind. He rewired his brain to see obstacles as opportunities. And that's the key, because obstacles aren't the problem. Fear isn't the problem. Doubt isn't the problem. The problem is how you interpret them. Most people grow up being told to avoid failure, to stay in their comfort zones, to play it safe. And that programming creates a mindset of fear. It makes them hesitate. It makes them run from challenges instead of embracing them. But here's the truth. The only way to grow is by facing adversity head on. Every obstacle is a chance to get stronger. Every failure is a chance to learn. Every setback is just another step on the path to success. The mind is like a muscle. It gets stronger the more you train it. If you constantly feed it fear, doubt, and negativity, it will become weak. But if you feed it confidence, discipline, and resilience, it will become the most powerful weapon you have. And training your mind starts with one simple shift, changing how you talk to yourself. Think about how many times you've let your own thoughts talk you out of something. How many times you've told yourself, I'm not good enough. I'm not ready. I'll do it later. Now imagine if you flip that script. Imagine if every time your mind told you to quit, you told yourself, I can handle this. Every time doubt crept in, you responded with, I've got this. It sounds simple, but that shift in language rewires your brain. It forces you to take control instead of letting fear control you. There was a woman who dreamed of becoming an entrepreneur. She had the ideas, the passion, but every time she thought about starting, she felt overwhelmed by fear. What if I fail? What if no one believes in me? But one day she made a decision. She wasn't going to let fear run her life anymore. Every time doubt entered her mind, she replaced it with certainty. Every time an obstacle showed up, she reminded herself that obstacles were just part of the process. And because she shifted her mindset, she built an empire. Not because she never faced challenges, but because she trained her mind to see them differently. That's the secret. That's the difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck. The ones who succeed aren't fearless. They just don't let fear control them. They don't see obstacles as reasons to stop. They see them as stepping stones. They don't wait until they feel ready. They take action despite the doubt. Your mind can be your greatest weapon, but only if you train it to be. If you let it run on autopilot, it will default to fear, hesitation, and limitation. But if you take control, if you consciously rewire it to embrace challenges, to push through pain, to see failure as progress, you become unstoppable. Because in the end, it's not talent, luck, or circumstances that determine your success. It's your mind. It's your ability to face the fire and keep moving forward. It's your willingness to reprogram your brain, to see every obstacle not as a roadblock, but as the path itself. Every person who has ever achieved something great has one thing in common. They failed. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. The world remembers their success, their victories, their greatness. But what people don't see is the struggle, the heartbreak, the sleepless nights filled with doubt. What they don't see are the countless times they fell flat on their face before they ever got close to winning, because that's the truth about success. It's built on failure. Most people are terrified of failure. They see it as a sign to stop, a reason to give up. They take a setback as proof that they aren't good enough, smart enough, strong enough, and because of that, they never reach their full potential. Not because they weren't capable, but because they let failure defeat them instead of fuel them. But look at the most successful people in history, the ones who changed the world, who redefined industries, who shattered expectations. Every single one of them failed, sometimes in ways that would make most people never try again. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. Imagine if he had stopped at failure number 10, or 50, or 900. The world would be a much darker place. Literally. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the foundation of it. It is the training ground where resilience is built, where lessons are learned, where champions are made. You do not grow when things are easy. You grow when you're challenged. You grow when you're pushed to your limits, when things don't go according to plan, when you're forced to adapt, to rethink, to get back up. There was once a man who had a dream of building a company that would change the way people communicate. He poured his heart into it, worked tirelessly, sacrificed everything, and then he was fired from his own company. Can you imagine that? Putting everything you have into something only to be told you're not good enough to lead it? Most people would have given up right there. They would have accepted defeat, but not him. He used that failure as fuel. He rebuilt himself, came back stronger, and in the end, he revolutionized the world. That man was Steve Jobs. His story is not unique. Every great leader, every innovator, every world-class athlete has faced failure. What makes them different is how they responded to it. They didn't see failure as an end. They saw it as a beginning. They understood that every setback was a setup for a greater comeback. Think about a baby learning to walk. They don't get up and sprint on the first try. They stumble. They fall, they hit the ground again and again, but they don't stop. They don't cry and say, maybe walking isn't for me. No, they keep going until one day they take that first step, and then another. And before you know it, they're running. Somewhere along the way, people forget this truth. They become afraid to fall. They become so terrified of making mistakes that they stop taking risks. But the only real failure is the failure to try. The only real defeat is giving up. There was a woman who wanted to become a writer. She spent years working on a book, pouring her soul into every word. And when she finally sent it out into the world, she was rejected not once, not twice, but by 12 different publishers. Most people would have stopped. Most people would have taken that rejection as proof that they weren't good enough. But she didn't. She believed in her dream more than she feared failure. And because of that, the world got to read Harry Potter. That woman was J.K. Rowling. What if she had given up? What if she had let failure stop her? The answer is simple. Her success wouldn't exist. And the same goes for you. Every failure you experience is a lesson. It is teaching you something you need to know, shaping you into the person you need to become. The people who win in life are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who refuse to let failure define them. They are the ones who take every setback and turn it into a stepping stone. You have a choice. You can let failure break you, or you can let it build you. You can run from it, or you can embrace it. You can see it as proof that you should stop, or you can see it as proof that you are one step closer to where you need to be. The greatest rewards in life don't come from avoiding failure. They come from pushing through it. They come from standing back up when you've been knocked down. They come from using every loss as motivation to win, because at the end of the day, success isn't given, it's earned. And it's earned through failure, through persistence, through the refusal to quit. So fail, Fail big, fail often, and then get back up. Because every time you do, you are one step closer to the life you were meant to live. So now you have a choice. You can be like the countless people who gave up when things got tough, who let fear dictate their lives, who let one failure define them. Or you can be one of the rare few, the unstoppable, the relentless, the ones who refuse to back down, no matter how hard it gets. Because make no mistake, the world does not hand out success on a silver platter. It demands everything from you, your time, your energy, your dedication, your heart. But if you have the courage to endure, to fight, to stand tall when everything in you wants to collapse, then there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can stop you. You must burn the boats. Give yourself no escape route. Tear apart the safety net that keeps you comfortable, because comfort is the enemy of greatness. The moment you decide that quitting is not an option, you become dangerous. You become powerful. You become the person who bends the world to their will instead of being shaped by it. As Rocky Balboa said, it ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. That's how success is built. Not by avoiding failure, but by taking the punches, standing back up and charging forward with even more intensity. When the nights get long and the weight of the world is on your shoulders, remember what Steve Jobs said. The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And those people, they don't quit. They don't fold. They don't surrender to fear, to doubt, to failure. They keep going. They keep pushing. They keep building. And if you ever find yourself doubting whether you have what it takes, if you ever start thinking that maybe you're not strong enough, smart enough, or lucky enough, let me remind you of one thing. The lion does not concern himself with the opinions of sheep. The doubters, the naysayers, the critics, they don't matter. The only thing that matters is whether you have the fire inside you to keep moving forward, because the world belongs to those who refuse to give up. The question is, are you one of them?